Hey, good afternoon. So this, sixth graders, is a simple shading worksheet. You can see this one in front of me has 3 of the 5 balloons already shaded. And if you also notice, in addition to shading, going from dark to light, there's also blending of color. Now, in this case, there's only 2 colors, I believe, that are blended. Here I might have 3 or 4, and again here, maybe 3 or 4. So I do want you to shade. That's the most important aspect of this assignment. But I also want you to experiment a little bit with color blends, okay? Now, your blank sheet will look something like this. You only have to do the 5 balloons, fully colored, fully shaded. You don't have to do the stars, you don't have to do the clouds, but if you wish to do those things, you can. Let me go ahead and get started on this one. The first thing you do, have your pencils handy. You can see that I've gotten mine all sharpened. Any rule as to which colors to pick? Not at all. You pick the colors you like. I happen to pick a pretty big array of colors. You may not even need this many. I have my eraser here, my pencils, my sheet of paper. I'm ready to go. So step 1, pick a color. I'm going to pick yellow, and I'm going to decide where it goes. I'm going to put it right here. Now, yellow is problematic. Problematic means there's kind of a problem with yellow. As far as dark to light shading, you can't do it with yellow alone. You've got to add other colors to yellow. Yellow is very light. It's a very high value. No matter how hard I press, I'm going to get light yellow, but I can add other colors to yellow to make it darken. And pretty much that could be any color at all. You can see I'm laying down the color very lightly and evenly, turning the paper in a way that allows me to cross my first set of marks with a second set and then a third set, and that helps to make the color very, very even. Yellow, I don't worry too much about making mistakes, so I work quickly, but truthfully, pressing this lightly with any color, you can probably get away with going faster as long as you're pressing lightly. Now, yellow is interesting. I'm going to add a little bit of red to this, and you would expect that red and yellow will make, guess what, orange. Red and yellow are both primary colors, so adding 2 primaries, you're going to get a secondary, and the secondary color in this case is orange. Let's see if I'm right. There's the yellow, there's the red on top of it. Not sure I see any orange right now. Don't have to do it all in a blend of colors. I can go ahead and fade that red out. Let's go back with a little bit more red down here. Again, I'm pressing pretty lightly, so any small mistakes I make are pretty easy to ignore. Now I'm going to press a little bit harder. Dark to light, dark to light. You know what I think might be a good strategy here? If I want this color to go dark to light, left to right, I might go ahead and just lay down a crescent. A crescent is like the letter C, okay? That's what a crescent is. Like a crescent moon is shaped like the letter C. So there's my letter C, there's my crescent, laying that in along one side. And now I have a dark and a light. In order for me to make this shade realistic, I've got to go dark, medium, and light. I've got to go through a range of values here. Dark, medium, and light, dark, medium, and light, dark, medium, and light. And pressing less and less hard as I move across the page so my color lightens up. And you can see that was a pretty effective way, a pretty easy way to get this balloon to look realistically 3-dimensional. Remember, there's only 2 colors there right now, but in fact, having blended some color, I get 3 or 4 colors. Now let me take, this is red and yellow, let me take a blue. Now this is a blue, it's got some yellow in it, so it's a blue-green. And I'm going to add it to my yellow and my red, my orange right here. And let's see what happens when we add yellow, red, and blue together. That would be all 3 primaries. Let's see what happens. Ooh, cool color, I don't know what to call it. It's kind of a gray, kind of a green, kind of a brown. It's kind of a lot of things. And because it is a lot of things, visually that makes this surface way more interesting. So I had a pretty good shaded balloon going on there. Now I'm adding yet another color, in this case blue, getting some very unusual mixtures as the blue crosses different areas. Some of them more red, some of them more yellow, some of them a bit orange. Okay, and again, my passing across the surface is very light, and it's looking like a pretty cool balloon. Notice this side that stays light, that I don't touch, that I leave alone. That's important. That's your lightest value. Here we have your darkest, here we have your lightest, and of course between dark and light we have a range of values. Now on the back of your paper, if you ever wish to experiment with value ranges for a single color or blends of color, easy enough to do, and we've done this before. Dark to light, releasing the pressure gradually as you push or pull your pencil, gives you a range of value, dark to light. Let me take this color green and mix it with this blue. Of course, green mixed with blue, you would expect, guess what? Blue-green, let's see if we get it. So again, on the back, if you want to be a little experimental, practice your shading skills, practice your blends. You can see how easy that would be to do on the back. Since I've got this green in my hand, let's go ahead and use it on this largest balloon. Pick a color, decide where it goes, and lay it down lightly. Light and even, going quickly right now because any mistakes that I make, any overshots of the edge, very light mistakes, very easy to correct. So I'm not too worried about making big mistakes right now. Of course, later on when I'm pressing a little bit harder, I will be worried about those bigger mistakes. Now this same green, if I wish to, let's go ahead and make that crescent here. That seemed like a pretty good approach. The crescent, the letter C, wraps around one side of the balloon. That's going to be the shadowy side of the balloon. There are no rules hard and fast here for how to shade the balloon, but this is a good way to start, okay? So we're giving you a good way to start. Because of this, the size of this balloon, I might have to add more shadow to it. The larger the shape, the more shadow that I have to add. So I'm gonna add a little bit more here. And although green is a beautiful color all by itself, I think maybe I'm gonna go ahead and start blending some other colors with this. Notice how I can cross in many directions, kind of leading towards the middle of the balloon, and create a nice shadowed effect that way. Although this area seems like it's needing still a little bit of help. Let me put that down and let's pick up, let's see, what's this dark color? This looks like a very dark blue right here. Indigo blue, that's the color of your blue jeans, indigo blue. So blue and green, once again, is gonna make a blue-green. This indigo being very dark is very well suited for shade or shadow. So here I go, dark to light there. Maybe I'll go ahead and recreate that crescent that I was using early on. That seemed to work out pretty good, so I'll add a little bit more in a C shape, in a crescent shape right there, and either pull or push the pencil as I move away from the darker areas into lighter areas. I think if you do things little at a time, not only can you get some very interesting color blends, but you can also control the dark to light shading a little bit better. Here I have a little bit rough right there. I have a little overlap going on. Got to come in and smooth those areas out. We're going to get that done, again, a little at a time. Pushing, 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 going a little deeper into the balloon. Since it is such a large shape, we can afford to push a little deeper with our blends, a little deeper with our shading, with it being at such a large balloon. Gradually fading out to the lighter values here. Let me go ahead and do a little bit of shading there. Notice how I'm leaving this one area very, very, very light. And of course, turn your paper to make it easier for you to place that pencil exactly where you need it, when you need it, okay? So your left hand, in this case, my non-dominant hand, is working really hard in cooperation with my right hand to get all this to happen. Now, how's this looking? A little scratchy right in here. I think I can go in there and smooth that out. And I don't think I'm done blending yet. I think I'm still having a good time with the combination of blues and greens. What if I added a warm color? Now, blue and green are both considered cooler colors. Even though green may have a lot of yellow in it, we would consider it a cool color. Cool like a forest, cool like the ocean, cool like the top of a mountain, okay? But I'm gonna add a warm color. Now, warm colors would be those of the sun, oranges and reds. So let me see. Let's take this bright, bright orange here, add it to the blues and the greens, and of course there's a yellow component in there too. And once again, we'll expect some neutralization to go on because we are blending all three primaries, yellow, blue, and red. And here comes the combination of yellow and red. That would be the orange, and it's going across the blues and the greens. Greens are combinations of blue and yellow. So here we have a combination of all three primaries, yellow, blue, and red. Kind of an interesting mix of colors. A big balloon, so a lot of work, but it's not really taking me that much time. Remembering to be sure and leave a good portion of the balloon very, very light. Okay, that's looking pretty interesting here in front of me. I don't know how that looks under the camera. I'm going to still add a little bit more warm color down here. I switched to kind of a darker orange. just to see what happens. I'm pressing this darkest area of the balloon even darker here. You notice I don't use blacks or grays. I kind of depend on color blends to do that for me. Neutralized colors oftentimes are gray, oftentimes are warm, brown, light grays, earth tones, if you want them to be. That's pretty cool. Let me go back with one final pass of a bright yellow right here, just because I want to warm this area up a little bit. This lighter edge of the balloon. Remember, yellow is not very dark, so I can do that easily right here and intensify that a little bit. I think I'm done. So all 5 of my balloons, the big one plus all these other smaller 4, are done. Don't have to do the clouds, don't have to do the stars. I am looking for color blends. I am looking for shading dark to light. Remember that trick with the crescent? I'm going to do this cloud very quickly. Lay your color down. This happens to be an indigo blue. Do so lightly. You can do it quickly as long as you're not pressing hard. Turn your paper in a way that makes it easier for you to control placement. Once you have that lightest color laid down, that's your lightest value rather, you can go in then with a crescent, and that would be a C-shaped mark like this, a crescent following the outside edge. Shadow does follow the outside edge oftentimes. And then moving off that darkest towards that lightest, following the curve of the form in this case, the puffy part of the cloud here that I'm crossing. Dark to light, dark to light. Well, of course, you've done things like this before, haven't you? Remember Cloud City? All right, we did this before. And here we go, that cloud is just about finished. No blending on that one, but again, just a quick review of how you might go about shading. Lightly with the first application of color, then later a crescent of darker value. Then after that, moving across the surface, the shadow follows the form, follows the surface, dark to light as you enter across the form towards the center of the form, okay? Now, you try.